Still got 4 minutes.
It's time.
No, Mario's home. He was in the hospital. He got his neck surgery done. He's off for, I think, 8 weeks.
Ready for Santa Claus?
Yeah, he ain't gonna be here for a while.
I think so.
He had it done a week ago, I guess.
I think.
In one night.
Electric, water.
Well, I was going to work today. Coming out of the building. He rode by me.
Got to open the public meeting for electric, and then close the public meeting for electric.
How are you?
And then,
But I mean, that's encouraging that they reached
got to
out first.
vote. No, got to vote right after the public hearing. And each one individually.
Yeah, did he tell you how they wanted to do it?
Each one individually.
Go into a public hearing,
I told her.
and then, yeah,
She was all upset.
and we would have a discussion. Ask for any proposed amendments, and then a vote.
Been with me damn
So discussion and amendments, vote, I would say.
live.
They're not accepting.
It's just
Only time.
they've gotten used to it now the last month, and
Yeah, exactly.
and the other thing is we're just behind the 8 ball right now. So she was panicking because she's going to get it right. All right, she'll have it.
Been approved by me.
Have you ever had thing where you just didn't get a whole lot of those one day?
Oh, yeah.
Should be.
Prepaid.
Doing it.
Or
That
that's
happens
the
here
adult
in
center.
Rose.
Where's tomorrow? We're just calling them grant claims.
I just say they're DAC grant claims,
Yeah.
right?
Okay, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Do you want to go ahead and rip through Woolworths? Council first?
No,
Oh, we can't start early. No.
do the public hearing.
He's off for a while. Had a little neck surgery.
We need council up here then. Is that you gonna do Board of Works in the second?
No. Well, yeah, but still they need to get up here for the public hearing. Okay.
Board of Works after that.
Council needs to come up here for the public hearing. Where's Randy? Randy? Hey.
Right, glasses back.
Me?
Brought them on your face. Oh, you got two pairs. Love that.
I think everything went okay.
Oh, so we can open up the council meeting. What- I thought you wanted to do each one's.
No, I stopped by.
Okay.
I was out.
Yeah. Okay, we can do the Board of Works first then. Okay. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Okay.
That's fine. I mean, it's his.
Okay, little clarification. Council, you can stay seated up here. We are going to do the Board of Works meeting first and then get to the public hearing, because then council will have to be the ones to do any voting in that. So, but we'll get through the Board of Works quickly. And so what I'd like to do then is to open up the City of Lawrenceburg Board of Works meeting for December 17th, 2018 with a roll call, please.
Board Member Paul Seymour Jr.
Here.
Board Member Alan Calloway. Absent. Police Chief Don Combs.
Here.
Fire Chief Johnny Tremaine.
Here.
EMS Director Bobby Mills. Here. City Attorney Del Weldon.
Here.
President Kelly Milan.
Here.
And myself.
All right, announcements. I don't have anything up here, Paul. With no announcements, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the previous meeting.
So moved.
Second. Opposed? That passes 2-0. Committee reports, Fire Chief Johnny Tremaine.
No report.
Okay. Police Chief Don Combs.
The only thing I have, Mayor, is update you on our reserve program. We're sending 4 right now through our program within. And after they graduate December 29th, we'll have a total of 17. And they're doing very well at this point. That's all I
Okay.
have.
EMS Director Bobby Mills.
No, Mayor, our November run totals were 192 calls. That's all I have.
Okay. All right. New business, Del Weldon, hiring practices.
Thank you, Your Honor. If it pleases the Board of Works and the council, one of the things that I wanted to touch on tonight is something that has been ongoing, but it's worth highlighting at this point, which is the City of Lawrenceburg's new hiring practices. One of the primary initiatives of this administration has been to deal directly with the hiring practices of the city, which has been a hot topic, as you can imagine, as everyone knows very well, over recent years. And we're very proud of the hiring practices that we've implemented to address that issue head on. The city, quite frankly, has had developed a bad reputation, whether fairly or unfairly, for their hiring practices. And so the city took on the goal and the project of implementing a hiring procedure that really has paid off even more so than originally anticipated. So the goal of everyone sitting up here and everyone involved in this process has always been to find the very, very best candidate and not have any kind of implications, again, fair or unfair, that hiring is based on anything other than pure merit. And so Jenny Felix, our HR director, and our hiring committee have done just that with great success. One of the things that was very important to the mayor was to have an independent hiring committee. The mayor is not involved in that hiring committee, doesn't sit on that committee or influenced in any way. And what you have is a team that is very objective and reviews applicants for new positions purely based, again, on their qualifications and just seeking out the very, very best candidates. And we've gotten that. And just to give you an idea of how that works as a practical matter, so when the city of Lawrenceburg has a job posting, and I think we're up to maybe 6 people that this administration has hired, new hires through the civil city process, we post for that position, and we bring in applications, and there are always a great number of applications because the reputation of our city employees is second to none, and the job that they do is second to none, and people, quite frankly, want to be a part of that team. One of the things that was really important also to the mayor and this administration, and one of the first things we did was during union negotiations, we were able to create a civil city labor apprentice position, which is a way, again, to get the very, very best candidates and then bring them in through a process that trains them, educates them. There are requirements for all these items where, you know, they obtain their CDL within a certain amount of time. They take classes at Ivy Tech. Our employees actually can take classes for free at Ivy Tech. So not only to hire the very best candidates, but to also give them more skills and empower them even more and make our workforce just the very best it can be. Once those applications come in, they are they're brought in and controlled only by HR Director Jenny Felix, and she immediately removes any and all demographic information. So takes off where you're from, where you live, takes off your age, your race, your ethnicity, your sex, your name. And so by removing all of that, she turns over the hiring committee just a stack of applications that only include the training and experience and qualifications of these candidates. And then the hiring committee convenes and they go through that list based on what they think is the best fit for us as a city. Those candidates are then scored, and the candidates that achieve multiple rankings from multiple members of the committee then move on to a further pool and then actually receive face-to-face interviews. That pool keeps shrinking down and down until we get to a final group of maybe 4 or 5 candidates, and at that point then the hiring committee votes to actually make a job offer. And then again, that training program, that laborer's apprentice training program starts. What you have, and the result of that is just the highest level of of transparency and the highest level of fair practices and hiring, much higher than even what would be minimally required. But really what you end up with is just a great group of new employees that is going to have an impact on the city for many years to come. I wanted to commend the mayor and city council, board of works, our hiring committee, clerk treasurer Richard Richardson, and then our HR director Jenny Felix, because they worked really hard at that. It was very important from day one. We don't talk about it a lot, but I think the public should know. This is your city, and I think these guys are handling that responsibility really well, and it's something to be proud of.
Okay. Any other new business? You guys got anything up here? Under old business, Mike Clark, Ludlow Hill Rehab Improvement Community Crossings Grant.
Thank you, Your Honor. As you're all aware, we did receive a $382,000 and some change community crossings grant for 2019, and that is for the Ludlow Hill Rehab Improvement, which consists of 3 streets, Wilson Creek, Hardwood Ridge, and 3 Mile Ridge are all 3 included in that project. I would like to get authorization to go ahead and start putting my bid packet together and advertise for that, so we can get everything awarded and under contract, because we do have hard dates and deadlines we have to meet, or we lose our funding.
Any questions, guys? If not, I'll entertain a motion to give Mr. Clark the ability to start getting the packets together to do these projects under the Community Crossings Grant.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion will carry. Any additional old business? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the claims.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion will carry. Need a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed? Motion will carry. All right. Okay, so we got public hearings concerning the rate increases for the electric, water, and sewer. And what we'll do is take each one individually. We'll open up the public comment section for each one, and then we will close that, and then we will have any discussion or amendments that's brought forth from this group or the utilities, and then there will be a vote. So I'd like to go ahead, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. My name is Dave McGimsey. I'm a partner with Bingham Greenbaum Dahl. I would just ask that we formally open the city council meeting before going and proceeding to the public hearings. Thank you.
We'll open up the city council meeting for December 17th, 2018. All rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, could I get a roll call, please?
Councilperson Tony Abbott.
Here.
Councilperson Aaron Cook.
Here.
Councilperson Mel Davis.
Here.
Councilperson Randy Abner.
Here.
Councilperson Paul Seymour Jr.
Here.
Police Chief Don Combs.
Here.
Fire Chief Johnny Tremaine.
Here.
EMS Director Bobby Mills. City Attorney Del Weldon.
Here.
Mayor Kelly Milan.
Here.
Myself.
All right. We'll go through the announcements real quick. Board reports, streets, alley, and curbs.
No report, Mayor.
I'm sorry. Finance, Tony Abbott.
We're good.
Parks and Playgrounds, Mr. Seymour.
I'm good.
Fire, Randy Abner.
The chief just gave me some paperwork on the National Fire Safety Council. You'll be seeing the little dog around
Oh.
for schools and stuff like that.
Okay.
So they've been out collecting
All
Just
right.
similar to the, I think the police department does their thing, so. That's all I have, Mayor.
All right. No other announcements. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the previous meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Any committee reports from the Fire Chief, Johnny Tremaine? Police Chief, Don Combs.
The only thing I have, Mayor, is we have a meeting tomorrow. From people from Indianapolis come down and evaluation on our QRT team. So I've got all that set up. CMHC's going to come down and do an evaluation.
Good.
What we're doing.
Keep us updated on what comes out of that. EMS Director Bobby Mills?
Further.
All right, then under new business, I'd like to open up the public hearing or comment section for the electric utility rate increase. Yes, sir?
My name is Jeffrey Earl. I'm with the law firm of Bose McKinney & Evans, and I represent Lawrenceburg Generation Station. They asked me to come here tonight just to indicate their objection to the rate increase. We've just received the cost of service study. They're happy to spend some time talking to you about it if you want to take some time to do that. But they just asked me to be here at the hearing and to observe and take some notes for them, let you know that they object to the increase.
Okay.
What was your last name, sir?
Earl, E-A-R-L, first name Jeffrey.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the public for the electric rates? If not, then I'll close the public comment section of that hearing and open it up for discussion. Proposed amendments.
Your Honor, I would like to propose an amendment for the electric rate ordinance. Excuse me. To add a whereas clause reflecting the principle of gradualism contained in the cost of service study and the rate report prepared by Catalyst Consulting and discussed at the work session as a second to last whereas clause that reads as follows. Whereas the Common Council now determines that in addition to promoting revenue stability, the amendment to Title V, Chapter 50, Section 50.01E of the Lawrenceburg Code of Ordinance also promotes the utilities industry recognize the concept of gradualism in adjusting rates, and then the rest of it stays the same.
Can somebody explain gradualism to me? I'm assuming that's what it,
Yes.
yes.
When you do a cost of service study, you try to determine the cost of serving each customer. For instance, if your use is only 50 kilowatt hours a month, and we never have any service calls for Kelly Malone, your rates should be lower. If Del Weldon uses 47,000 kilowatt hours a month, and he's constantly calling us, his rates should be higher. That's the cost of service. And also, to service you, Mr. Milan, the wire size is smaller, the transformation is smaller. To service Mr. Weldon in that scenario, the wire size is larger, the transformation is more. So you have more cost associated with Mr. Weldon than you do with Kelly Milan.
Your Honor, also specific to gradualization, cost of service, one of the goals of cost of service is to truly move each customer category, each rate class, to its true cost of service. Sometimes to do that, the jump would be so much that it would be unattainable. And so gradualization, that the principle of that is that you try to, over a period of time, take steps to get to that true cost of service. So let's say that a true cost of service for any one rate customer is 50%. Gradualism tells you that you can move 25% in 1 year and maybe 25% the next or whatever to eventually get to that point of true cost of service.
Okay.
So before this was added on there was going to be no rate hikes for any residential or commercial. But with this added on there, we can actually raise the rates.
No, that's, no. What we're drawing attention to, I think the whereas clause that Mel is talking about is just highlighting the fact that our efforts in this cost of service specific to the electric is vested in this gradualism, and that this is an attempt to get to a true cost of service for all customer classes. We're only dealing with one currently, but it is in the principle of gradualism that we're dealing with just the one customer.
There is no proposed rate increase to residential or commercial
That's correct.
as written. Okay.
That's correct.
If in the future, whatever future means, you would decide to have a possible rate increase, would you have to come back to this board with this interest, or would you be on your own?
No, without question, it would have to come back to this board.
Okay.
The utility service board does not have the authority to approve rate increases. It is just the city council that has that power vested in them.
So what, sorry, go ahead.
So this ordinance 19, 2018 is just bringing the service for the retail power plant service to the true cost, basically?
It is getting us closer to true cost.
Okay. And it won't affect residential or basic commercial at all?
That is correct.
Okay.
How does it affect Lawrenceburg Power, the new rates?
It affects it based on the cost of service that was presented.
What is the increase, and why is there an increase for Lawrenceburg Power?
Mr. Mayor, Councilman, my name is John Wolfram. I conducted the cost of service study, and in that study, the proposal of increase to the retail power plant service rate class, as proposed, would be an increase of 8.38% over 2018 rates. And the reason for that is because of the rate structure that is in place today, or the rate structure that would be in place for 2019 and beyond, absent this rate increase, would not sufficiently recover the costs that are incurred in order to serve the rate class. And so we're proposing changes in the energy charge and in the monthly service charge as reductions, and we are proposing a change to the demand charge in dollars per kW, which is an increase, as well as a minimum billing demand, in order to stabilize the revenue stream from that customer so that it remains consistent with previous years, rather than incurring a shortfall for the electric utility.
Is only one customer affected in this rate class? Is there only one customer in this rate class?
At this time, that's correct.
Was a rate reduction considered for the residential customers?
A rate reduction was not considered for the residential customers because the cost study shows that residential customers are being subsidized by the other classes at this point in time. And so in the interest of, which means that they aren't paying their full fair share either, but the principle of gradualism and the principle of revenue stability allow that to be maintained at this juncture, which is relatively consistent across other electric utilities and distribution utilities in the Midwest. It's very common for the residential class to not carry their full cost of service at any one time. So no, I mean, it was, I guess I should say it was considered, but it was not something that was recommended.
And what are the cash assets of just the electric utility?
So for the December 31st of 2018, the cash and cash equivalents were $10.6 million. Sir?
If we were to not address this shortfall with the one customer, what would that mean to all our other customers?
So in the immediate term, the other customers' rates will, as proposed, remain unchanged. And so for the individual consumers, it would mean in the immediate term, it would have no impact. For the electric utility as a whole, there would be a revenue shortfall stemming from this particular rate class not collecting the amounts that it historically has collected, and that obviously the utility at large would need to address that revenue shortfall in the future by trying to collect it from somewhere else. So I think another way of saying that would be that if this change were not made at this juncture, then we would have to revisit the rates for all of the other classes at some point in the very, very near future.
So in other words, the other customers would be subsidizing the one customer. If there was no rate increase straight across, and you asked for a rate increase in the other classes, these classes would subsidize this person.
I would say it this way: if the retail power class rates are not revised to implement the minimum billing demand component, then the electric utility at large will have a revenue shortfall relative to 2018 and relative to 2017 that the utility should collect from the other classes in some fashion, or from this class in the future in some form or fashion, to be determined.
So you're also telling us that we're not even at a minimum billing with these people? We're just trying to get to a minimum billing?
So the rate schedule for this class does not include a minimum billing as part of the tariff, as part of the ordinance today. But the one customer in the class is under a special contract that includes a minimum billing component, and that contract is set to terminate at the end of this year. So effective January 1, absent this change in the rate schedule, there will be no minimum billing demand as part of what the rate class schedule includes.
Any other questions? Comments? All right. So for the electric rate ordinance, I entertain a motion to approve ordinance 19-2018 with the proposed amendment. Yes, with the proposed amendment as written, as spoken earlier.
So moved.
Second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. The second, I'd like to open up the public hearing for comments for the water rate increase. Anybody from the public want to address that? What's your hand, Ryan? I almost called you.
I'd like to address it.
Yes, sir.
Now, I'm going to speak in round numbers, not exact numbers. My name's Tim Denning. I live in Lawrenceburg. Here's what makes this a big pill to swallow. Senior citizens that live on Social Security, they're getting a cost of living raise of 2.8%. Your average Social Security recipient receives $1,500 a month. So that's roughly $30 a month. And this proposed increase just ate that $30 a month, plus probably another $30. So I'm just speaking for senior citizens. And the other piece that's hard to swallow, guys, is in round numbers, you guys just spent $22 million on an apartment complex, a park, and a swimming pool. Now, put yourself in that senior citizen's position. You guys just spent and all we've heard in the last year was what a great job this utility department has been doing and saving us millions of dollars. So what you're saying is everything you said that the utility department is saving us millions of dollars, it was a lie. Because today you're asking to raise my rates and every citizen out there. It's wrong, guys. If you want to spend $22 million on something that a senior citizen on Social Security is not going to be able to enjoy, and you're going to add to, it's just not right. Either tell us the facts about our utility department and what our financial situation is, or okay? Thank you.
May I ask you a
May I
question?
say something? Sure. So the rate increase was brought about because the mayor and council asked that we move costs such as health insurance and cell phones over to the utilities and not pay for them anymore out of MDF. It isn't a revenue requirement per se. It's just moving costs associated with those specific employees from MDF over to the utilities. There's a couple reasons why that's a good idea. Number one, we serve people outside the city. We serve a number of customers that are outside the city. Those customers who are outside the city are getting a subsidized rate for their services because they're not paying for those benefits, they're not paying for the cell phone coverage and those kinds of things. By moving those costs out of MDF and over to the utilities, you are dispersing those costs associated with delivering water, providing water, maintaining water, all these kinds of things on all of the rate base, 100% of the rate base instead of 70% of the rate base. And so that's why we're moving those things. And then also, it is a cost of providing the service. And so if we're moving to true cost of service, it would be fair to say that you would want the costs associated with those employees, their wages, their benefits, and those kinds of things to be properly suited or properly, listed with the utility and not with the city. And so, as far as the utility running itself well, we are. We're not looking for revenue increases. We're just looking to move costs the city incurs from the city to the utilities. The mayor and council asked me to look at that. I told them that I would. And so that's why we're here.
I'll let me address that to folks. I respectfully don't agree with everything that was just said. Yes, we have been asking for a couple years to ensure that the utilities is being self-sufficient. Okay, when you say self-sufficient, that means that they're able to take care of their own bills, their own responsibilities, and everything else, right? For years, and Olin has addressed this, but for years, the city has paid for the benefits and such of LMU, including the phones and actually some utilities that their buildings incur, and the city's been paying the utilities. What we asked was for them to start phasing that in, okay, over a period of time to become more self-sufficient utility, okay? So they're not being subsidized by the city because they're a separate entity. When I do have a question, and I believe Mr. Clausen just brought it up, that the reason for the increase is because of the benefits that has been asked by mayor and council to move into that utility. That's where I sort of beg to differ. I think the revenue increase required, according to the study, was $220,000. Okay, That's where you get the 15% rate increase. One thing I think we could do to not incur a 15% rate increase and really no increase is on it's called extensions and replacements. It's actually another name for depreciation expense. In the past, the water department had no depreciation fund. Okay? Well, the proposed depreciation expense each year is proposed at $581,000. I propose that we deduct that by $220,000. You still have a depreciation expense, which I'm in favor of, and you do away with any increase at all. And you eat that up through the depreciation expense, the $220,000 increased revenue that's required. That's my proposal.
Well, Your Honor, I'm going to ask a question. I proposed that the utility be self-sufficient since 2002.
Yeah.
And the reason is you have to have that depreciation expense. The water plant, in my best recollection, was $7 million.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when things start going bad there, you're going to have to replace those.
I agree.
So you're going to get back in the same situation where the city is subsidizing that utility.
Mm-hmm.
It's not fun, I understand that, to have a rate increase. But in order for the utility to stand alone, you have to get those costs adjusted. You have, I don't know how many assets there are now, I forget. But every truck, every tool, every uniform, every pair of boots, every piece of equipment that the water company owns has been purchased by the city. Now, if Tim was talking about telling lies, the cost of the water was a lie because it wasn't the true cost of the water company.
Well, but what I'm proposing is you deduct the amount of depreciation that you're putting into your fund each year by the $220,000. You're still going to put $360,000 in there every year, and then you avoid any increase.
Yeah,
Yes,
John,
sir.
John Scomp
Hi, John.
From Crow. Just commenting on that briefly, I understand the proposal. I will tell you that the depreciation expense is kind of the minimum standard for funding your extensions and replacements.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually saying that that's a loss in value or it's the deterioration on your plant each year. And it's not just a accounting number you come up with. This is studied, engineering studies are done to go back out and look at the plant to say how much the pipes in the ground are deteriorating versus the pumps. And you take a composite number and say that over each year, let's say 2 or 2.5% of our plant is losing its value or losing its usefulness. And so that's where this number, this is derived from. That's how we get our depreciation number. So I understand that you could underfund that and not have a rate increase at this point in time. Understand, though, that you are underfunding the valuing or the replacement of your plant in the future. And what you're actually doing is going back to the cost of service. You're telling the customers that are right now that they don't have to pay for the full cost of service. They're not paying for the depreciation, deterioration of the plant that's happening right now. We'll fund that somehow in the future. And I know there's funding options to do that, but that's the pricing signal that Mel was talking about. You're not actually reflecting what your true cost is because they're not going to be paying for the value of what the deterioration of the plant is right now. The deterioration is caused by the current usage. And so you try to get the pricing signal right so the customers who are here, this is what it costs. And again, just looking at your rates and the rate comparison that we passed out, even with the increases in water and sewer that we're proposing this evening, you're still middle of the pack for this area of the state, and your rates are very reasonable. And it's just one of those things, you hate to send the wrong price signals to the customers as if this is what their cost of water is when you've underfunded things like the deterioration of the plant. So understand the proposal. I'd be concerned about the pricing signal it's sending, and then making up for that in the future with a larger rate increase when you have to catch up for that. So.
But what about, John, and
Yeah.
maybe you can answer this. We had not funded this in the past, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're proposing that we fund this at $600,000, $580,000 a year. What is the preventive maintenance going forward? We haven't seen, is there a project in place that we're going to need in 5 years? I mean, that's going to eat up that 2.5 million that you're going to have in there in 5 years, or 3 million.
Now, I can't speak to the projects that are out there. I'm not the engineering side, and I know the engineers here and may be able to do that. What I can speak to is what's happened in the past, and that is we weren't funding depreciation in the past.
Right.
And the last rates that were passed, we did fund depreciation, and we funded it at the full level of what the deterioration is. What we're suggesting now with the proposal you have on the table is that we bring new costs over the utility that we weren't paying for before, and in order to accomplish that, now go back to what we were doing before and underfunding depreciation. Mm-hmm. And so we didn't fund depreciation in the past, but in the council in the past had brought it up so that we were fully funding depreciation.
Back in what, 2014?
I believe that's right. I'm sorry, I don't have the date with me, but what you're proposing to do now is go back to where we were underfunding depreciation because we need to bring on some new costs. And I think the proposal for a 15% increase on the water side, for those who are on fixed income, it's going to be about $2.85 a month. And what I hate to see you do is take a step back to what you used to do by underfunding some things so that you can pay for some other things.
Okay.
This 15% allows you to go ahead and bring on those other costs that the city had been subsidizing and bring everything up to full cost of service. And I would hate to see us go back to where we say, okay, we'll bring this on, but we'll start underfunding this other thing, and somehow we'll catch up in the future again, because that's a game that's pretty hard to play.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay.
But we haven't funded that before, so why would we fund it fully right away? Why wouldn't we tier that in?
You have been funding that before.
Not since 2014.
Yeah.
We haven't seen it.
Yeah, you have been funding depreciation fund, and it was built into the rates then.
How much is in there? Do we know?
It's actually in your operating fund, so there's not a depreciation fund set up at this time, but it's in the operating fund. So.
Oh, there's not a depreciation fund set up.
There is one set up, but the money hasn't been transferred over in there every month. But that's just a bookkeeping thing to move that over. But the current rates that are in place fully fund the depreciation fund.
That's correct.
If you go back to the last rate report you had in 2014, you'll see that the depreciation fund was fully funded as part of those rates. And so what you're doing now is saying, okay, we're not going to fully fund that anymore. Prior to that, basically, you just went and got grant funding for all capital projects, or somebody else paid for it. And so what we're looking at now is, back in 2014, when those rates were passed, we fully funded the depreciation fund, if you go back and look at the rate reports. And so that's why I'm saying now, I would not take a step back and then have to catch up for that in the future. You say right now we can hold it at 15, or we can hold it at nothing and not do the 15%. Well, in the future, then 2 or 3 years down the road, you're going to have to make up for this 15 plus whatever inflation and other things have been on top of that to get back to fully funding again. So you have been fully funding depreciation, and I'm recommending you continue doing that.
But it's now currently resides in the operating fund.
Yeah, and that can be transferred over tomorrow with a bookkeeping entry, but, I mean.
So there's no increase at all, the depreciation?
I don't believe so. I don't believe, let me just.
So it's the same as it's always been, Andy?
Yeah,
It wasn't 17.
Same as it was in 17, so we're funding at the same level as in 2017.
Correct.
So.
Okay, observation?
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to say something. I mean, we got Kelly and Olin here, and they're obviously both thinking of the town, and I think this administration, Olin's been working 4 years now on doing things, working with council and the utility service board, started a new utility, trying to be on their own, buying their own trucks, doing projects. Kelly, on the other hand, we've got a guy with Civil City and in our maintenance. I don't know that we've ever done maintenance like we've done now. And we need these, depreciation funds for the future. We as councilmen and the mayor and the utility director here need to be looking ahead of how we should set the example for the next people to come in. And I think these depreciations are very important. I've been taught that over at Conservancy. So I do know that we need them. To what extent? How much money do you need set aside to take care of projects? The only thing that I can say to us is that every time we do a project anywhere, it's a lot of money. So I don't know what's enough, but the mentality has to be, we somehow or another we have to come to an agreement on a depreciation fund. That I will have to say, because there are things that we need to fix, and I believe this is the first administration that has taken that to task and do all the things that we've done.
Well, I guess where my confusion came in is when I didn't see an increase in the depreciation fund for the last 4 years. I didn't know it resided in the operations fund. I didn't know we were funding that at $580,000 a year, and until we seen the rate study. So,
and we probably could have done a better job of explaining that.
I just, because it just, I think I seen a $1,000 increase in the fund over 4 years. So I was thinking, well, we're obviously not funding this.
Yeah.
So, okay. Any other questions up here?
I have some questions for John. Just sticking to the water. So you're saying that we have been funding the depreciation at $581,000 a year, and that's not an increase. It's not increasing at all.
No, if you go, I can show you on,
I just want to nail that down.
if you go to page 6 of the water report.
Mayor, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Why is the attorney asking questions for? It's not legal advice. I mean, what are we doing here?
I'm asking legal questions.
The water rate?
Good.
Page 6, you'll see that depreciation expense in 2017 was $581,599. And if you go over to the far right column, you'll see that we made no adjustments to that. And in the adjusted or the pro forma or the budgeted amount going forward, we've left that same as it was.
Okay.
No adjustments.
And then
Let me ask a question. If we've been funding that at $581,000 for the last 4 years, since 14, right? And you said it resides in the operating revenue. I see $1.6 million in the operating revenue.
Not the operating revenue, in the operating fund, which is
Okay.
on page 2.
On 2, okay. Sorry about that.
No, you're fine.
Page 2. Okay, so show me where that's,
Under current and, go down about halfway down the page, current and accrued assets, where it says operating fund.
okay.
And you can see 2015, 2.4, then 3.2, and 3.8. You can see it's growing in there. That's where the money's been deposited. There is a depreciation fund in the restricted assets up above. We'd actually talked to Olin, and it's just an accounting entry. We'd recommended we move some of that up into the because that's what it's being funded,
The
so.
fund, into the fund, you mean?
Yeah, we don't have any debt on the books, so there's no bond ordinance that requires we put it into one account or the other. But it's just kind of been in the operating fund, so we can move that to the depreciation fund itself.
All right. Okay. All right, that shows me. Okay. Anything else up here?
Got one last comment.
Well, the public part has already been closed. Oh, we didn't close the public? Oh, we're still in public, go ahead.
Here's the bottom line, guys. Every one of you guys up there were elected to manage and run this city. And we expect you to manage and run it well. Now, what you're doing tonight, potentially, is you're saying, we can't manage the city. We're going to take it out of your pocket to pay our expenses. And it's wrong. When you are spending and
I'll tell you one thing, Tim. I think we all probably know it's an election year. I really don't care. I'm going to do what I think is right, and I'm going to question what I think is right.
well, that's good. You do what you want to do.
Yeah,
But when you take money out of my pocket, when I
Yeah.
hired you to manage my city,
yeah.
you're not getting my vote.
What did I do up here that I did nothing but question why we need the 15% increase?
I said you have the potential to take money out of my pocket
Yeah,
because you can't run the city.
okay.
And you just spent $22 million on something that I probably won't enjoy.
Okay. Appreciate your input. Anybody else? Any input back here? Okay. All right, well, I'll close the public portion of this for the water rate increase. Any proposed amendments? A discussion from the folks up here? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor,
So this is ordinance 20, right?
I'm sorry, this is ordinance number,
Should be.
let me find it here.
It's be number 20-2018. Did you pass out one of those old ones?
No, I passed out the two new ones with amendments.
Yeah, I've got okay.
21. I ain't gotten a 20.
So this will be as was advertised previous. It has been posted online. Ordinance number 20-2018.
Has no current amendments. Correct? Am I right?
Correct, that's correct.
All right. I entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion to approve the increase? Is that what it is, Mel?
Yes, sir.
Okay, second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Nay.
Roll call, please.
Councilperson Tony Abbott.
Nay.
Councilperson Aaron Cook.
No.
Councilperson Mel Davis.
Yes.
Councilperson Randy Abner.
Yes.
Councilperson Paul Seymour Jr.
Yes.
What was your vote, Randy?
Yes.
Yes. What's the count on that?
We had Tony no, Aaron Cook no, Mel Davis yes, Randy Abner yes, Paul Seymour Jr. yes. 3-2 pass.
Okay, I'm I'm going to exercise my ability to veto that vote. I told you the reasons why. That's just the way I feel about it, because I don't feel like I've been given enough information about it. So I'm going to veto that vote. Now I think we have 10 days, or you have 10 days to come back and re-vote if you want. Is the statute.
Does it have to be at least a 4-to-1 vote to override your veto?
Be 2/3, which would be four votes.
Okay.
Vote now, maybe.
I'll entertain a motion to re-vote on this ordinance, or this rate increase.
And now, in between that time, will you have conversation with the people with the information to ask questions and work to?
Well, and yeah, but
I'm trying to understand
yes,
the process.
Yes, that's the process. But I'll be quite honest with you. I just don't see the need for the rate increase on the water side. That's my opinion. I mean, and that's just, I just can't get over that. I can't be any more clear about it, any more.
I mean, if you don't move the benefits over in the cell phones, I would agree with you.
Well,
but if you introduce new costs, we have to collect for those costs. It's why it's called a cost of service.
Well, but there's other things. You know, we got this rate study a week and a half ago. I had been asking for it for months, and was told it wasn't done, because I didn't want to get into the situation we are right now of having to push this through during the last month of the year. That's where I wanted to go with it. That way everybody had an opportunity to ask all their questions, do all their homework, get information they wanted, because we didn't know what the rate study was going to bring back. Was it going to be an increase or not? And then, lo and behold, in the first meeting in December, we're trying to propose a rate increase. So that's where I'm at with it, just so I have an explanation to people out in the public, and you folks sitting up here, you deserve my explanation as well. So I'd entertain, you can re-vote now if you'd like.
It'd be a vote to override the mayor's veto.
Yes.
Can I say something for a minute, Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Andy Lyons with the Lawrenceburg Water Department. I guess I would like to hear the 2 no votes. If they have any questions about the increase, what their concern is.
I mean, in theory, I agree with Mr. Denny. We don't agree on a lot, but I agree with him. The city spends money other places, so why are we spending? I mean, I voted for those projects. Don't get me wrong, I want this project to happen, but I mean, why are we spending that much money than trying to raise the people's rates? I mean, if we can't afford those projects and keep the rate steady, we shouldn't do them then.
Well, just so everybody's clear, the total increase is $220,000 in revenue annually, and $190,000 of that is employee benefits that are being shifted out of the city's budget and coffers and into the utilities budget. So this isn't really an increase because our costs have increased astronomically. It's just a shifting of the funds, which, I mean, I know it's already been talked about, but
you guys have 10.4 million in the electric, which is still part of the LMU. It's all 3 together. So I don't see why we have to hurry to do this now. This boat was put in here, and it's supposed to help out the citizens. And now we're taking from them if we vote to do this rate increase. So we should still be helping with the boat money.
If the MDF fund hadn't been helping Lawrenceburg Utilities over the last 20 years, we would be looking at rates that are already $10 or $12 per thousand rather than rates that are $6.78 and going to $7.80. This is a $2.85 increase for your average senior person in Lawrenceburg.
How much of an increase is it if you use like 10,000 gallons of water a month?
10,000?
See, that's my question too. It says 5,000 gallons. How many of our customers use only 5,000 gallons of water? I would jump up and down on using that.
I think that's a fair average of.
There's a lot of
5,000.
families I know that use like 10,000. Mine's like 13, but I know a lot of people use 10.
That's an impressive length
What
of
is it?
shower.
Someone said they use something else back there. I don't know.
The difference for someone who uses 10,000 gallons is $8, and that is inclusive of the fire protection charge. So it's $7.99.
Well, and hey guys, I hate to interrupt, but we're already we've moved on past this. There's a vote, there's a veto. If you want to vote again to override the veto, you can, but.
He asked the mayor if he could speak, and the mayor gave him permission to speak. So, I mean, what do we, mayor doesn't run the meeting now?
What's that?
Who's running the meeting? He said we have to move past this. You said he could speak, and he's asking us questions, and we're answering him, and Dale's saying we should move on now. We weren't
Well,
done yet.
procedurally, there was a public discussion portion, and there was a discussion.
So who was the first one that broke the procedure then? Was it me?
Made a suggestion.
Andy, you got anything else to ask?
I guess the only other thing that I could ask is if there is some amendment that you would like to make before you vote no again. It seems to me you had an opportunity to make an amendment and nobody made one, and then you voted no. It doesn't make any sense to me. So
I told you my rationalization, but
Can somebody explain, I want somebody to explain the separation of utilities and the $10 million in the electrical department.
The utilities operates on fund accounting, and so monies that are earned and deposited on behalf of the electric utility cannot legally be used for the water utility or the sewer utility. They can in a short-term loan not to exceed 5 years, but they cannot commingle or co-support different rate cases, different rate classes, or different utilities. They are exclusive to those utilities. Monies earned by one support one, monies earned by another support that utility, and that is the principle behind fund accounting. So even though they reside in the same account, they're not. You can't commingle those funds.
Explain it, Paul.
that's all I had.
Thanks, Andy.
If our water plant was just to have some big giant mishap, what would we do?
Have insurance pay for it?
Well, a lot of people would bond it out. Most municipalities would have to bond it out. We're sort of not like most municipalities.
Well, about six, somebody can pinpoint this better than me, but, and I'm gonna use our neighbors as an example, whether it be good or bad, I'll let everybody be judge of that. But 4 to 6 years ago, we granted our people of Aurora, I'm gonna say 4 million, cause I don't know the number, I think.
4.5.
I'm close. And they tied into our sewer plant. They had problems down there.
Yes.
My question is if they were charging the right rates, maybe they are charging the right rates, maybe they're higher rates than ours, but we were their backup. They didn't have anything in place. Do we want to become that? Or do we want to be prepared for what our taxpayers deserve? That's how I'm looking at it. Is if we're going to put money in places, then I would like to put it in our infrastructure, and I think in a lot of things we've been doing good on that, but I'm not so sure about the utilities. Right now you've got $10 million in the electric. And I have a hard time believing that if we have a major problem in the electric, $10 million is gonna cover it. It's gonna cover quite a bit, but it's not a whole lot of money in the world that you live in.
That would replace a substation.
All right. Now, I don't know how much we need in the water department, and I don't know what we need in the sewer department, but I think that's the issue that we have probably in all of these. So we just have to make a decision. Are we gonna be prepared for the future? Or are we gonna be the administration that doesn't worry about the future? And that's Andy's daughter's problem and my daughter's problem. I mean, I think we've been thinking really good. I just would like to see us, I don't think it's that big a problem. We can cut back elsewhere, but we need to take care of our utilities. But we've had a vote. Now, do we have a period of time to where this will come back up, Kelly? Can you tell me what would go on if we don't vote again tonight?
Then there's a 10-day period in which a vote can happen.
Now,
let me just ask this question.
Okay.
And getting back to your question, I think, Andy, and I'm trying to understand this as well, okay? Okay, if we're saying that the, I guess, the operating fund, John Scomp, is, we notice from 2015, 16, 17 has increased $600,000 to $800,000 a year. And part of that operating fund is the depreciation fund expense. Do we know what that is for sure? Because have we spent any of the depreciation?
Yes, we have spent some of it. You go up to the, staying on page 2 there, you see the construction work in progress. That's some money that has been spent towards the projects and so you can see at the end of 2015, we had $10,000, but then it went up to in 2016 is up over $215,000 that have been spent. Now that $215,000 then rolled up into the utility plant number, and we were on another project starting off, we were at $40,000. So there was more than that spent because you can see that the utility plant and service number at the top line increased. Now, right today, I can't tell you what that is. We could go back and work with Olin's books and show you that there has been money spent continually through this period of time. Some of it you can see on the construction work in progress. It was in place as of the end of the year, but that doesn't account for projects that were started and completed within the year. It didn't show this number. So some money you can find very quickly. Others you could just go back into utility plant and service number and track what's being spent there. So.
And that's my question then, because okay, if you're saying that the $580,000 for the depreciation expense is needed, okay, to fully fund whatever that is.
Whatever projects have to be done to maintain
Right.
the system, yeah.
How do we know that that number isn't $360,000?
Well, what happens is over time, you'll do some projects,
Right.
and these smaller projects will spend a few $100,000 every year. However, you also then keep money back in the depreciation fund for the larger projects that come up that you don't want to have to go out and do a $1 or $2 million bond issue if you can accumulate that, because then you're paying all the cost of issuance and the interest and everything else. And so basically it's the utility working with the engineers and working with Andy to know what projects are coming down the line, what may be there, and then the unexpected things come up. Unexpected things being, a pipe bursting or something like that, where you could have a major dig or something like that, and money goes out pretty quick then. So for the last few years, you can see a few $100,000 of that $580,000 going out each year, but you're then saving up the remainder of it, looking for when a bigger project comes, you won't have to bond for every little thing that comes up.
But that goes back to my point then. I mean, I think that if you look at, and maybe Paul was trying to get to this point, I don't know, and I don't want to speak for you, Paul, but obviously there's some year-to-year maintenance that needs to be done.
Right.
Okay? And that's part of this depreciation expense as well. If you look at the last 3 years, we haven't spent a lot out of the depreciation. That's listed.
Of that fund.
You're saying it's more, some has been more than.
Well, I tell you, I think what you're talking about is, I think what you're saying, what you'd like to see in the accounting probably going forward is the 580 put in the depreciation fund.
I'd like to see 360.
Oh, well, let's say 580, because that's what I want. No, I understand. Whatever money we're going to use for depreciation, let's put it into the depreciation fund. And then you want the money spent out of that fund, and probably you're saying you'd like to see a tighter accounting so you can see what that fund, and that can be done. I will say normally we see that in utilities that have bonds outstanding, because the bond ordinance is very strict about, well, yeah, exactly. So, no, that hasn't been done here. We've kind of left the depreciation fund where it was at, and just, to be honest with you, we never used to have a depreciation fund. We just kind of, went, and when we needed money, we went and asked, and somehow it was granted, and that's been a great thing in the past. But going forward, I think you're saying you like the accounting tightened up a bit, and we've talked about that, and then we have the capability of doing that. However, I will tell you right now, we would be, if we had done the accounting differently, starting in 2014, 2012, whenever, we would still be here today with the same recommendation.
What I'm saying, and maybe Paul was getting to this, if say we don't, we just decrease that by the 220,000. Let's just say hypothetically we do that, and obviously if there's some huge issue that arises with any of our utilities, if we're able, the city is going to come to the rescue of the utilities, as we've always done, or they would have to go out and bond it. Okay?
If I can make one comment on that real quick. When the city comes to the rescue, then the city taxpayers and the city customers pay for all of it, even though the outside rural customers get a big benefit from it.
Well, and I agree with that. I agree with that, because we'll get into that in the sewer portion. But what I'm saying though is, I just, that's the reason that I'm where I'm at in this. I just think it could be funded differently. But
well, Mayor, if I was to make one recommendation, if you're going to veto this proposal that's on the table, I would recommend that you do something where you're stepping up rates. Let's say July of next year we go up 7.5%, and then a year after that because what I hate to see is you putting off this 15% now, and at some point in the future you're going to have to catch that up. So if you were going to veto this right now, I'd like to see at least a proposal on the table whereby we could do some gradual, maybe leave it the same for now, but in 6 months we go half the increase, and then maybe in another year we just step it up, so that when the time comes down the line that we may need that larger increase, we're not having to make up for this and do the next. So I just throw that out as a thought there. So.
Okay, thank you. We still in the public open. I'm so messed up on this water. We still in public?
No, we closed it.
Okay.
They voted and you vetoed.
Sorry, Mike, we closed that public portion. I'm sorry. All right, anything else from up here? So we want to do the immediate vote?
The statute says they would vote at the next meeting.
The next meeting, all right. We'll do that vote at the next meeting then. Okay. All right. Sorry, everyone, to put you through all that. The next one is I'd like to open up the public hearing for the sewer rate increase. Any public comments? No sewer. Yes, ma'am.
And I understand that you're adding a new rate besides the increase, a service cost. So we're having two increases. We're getting this new $7 and something cost just to have the sewer. and then we get the sewer rate increase on top of that. Am I understanding that correctly?
John, you want to explain that? I'm sorry, Ms. Hahn.
Maybe some confusion on that because there were some new charges added, but not on the residential side. If you look on page 18 of the sewer report, the changes we made in the rate structure, the first one with the metered rates did not affect the residential customers. That's only adding a new industrial rate. Basically, there's a new rate for someone using over 500,000 gallons of water per month. I can't see a residential customer getting there. That'd be pretty unusual. The other thing is, if someone heard something about adding new billing charges, if you look down to the monthly billing charge, that was only for meters 8 inches and above. Residentials would generally be on a 5/8 and 3/4, maybe on a 1 inch, but those were the new ones we added. Right below it, you'll see the excess strength surcharges, which are not charged to residential customers. Again, we added those, and then the Clearstream rate as well. So on the residential, they should see the same type of charges. We are recommending a 22% increase in those charges, but no new additional charges for the residential. So.
Ms. Hahn, did you hear that?
Well, I see that there's like a billing charge based on our meter.
There's always been a billing charge based on your meter.
Not on our statement. It doesn't show there's a service charge on the electric.
Beverly, do you have LMS water?
Yes.
That's why.
It's
So it is a new.
Well, I'm asking if you're looking at a service charge maybe for the water side. I don't believe there's a change in our structure.
I was just looking at my statement. And I'm sorry. When I have a statement, I have a sewer charge, and then I have an electric charge, and then I have an electric customer charge. And I'm seeing on this paper that you sent to us that there is a monthly billing charge of $7.13 for the rural 5/8 inch meter, plus then there is the per gallon charge. I'm just looking at this paper. I don't have the thick one that you people have. I just have this thing that you sent me in the mail. And that's where my question is. So you're adding then.
On your sewer charges, it is already built into what your current billing charge. There's a current billing charge now of $3.25. And then there's a rate of $4.46 per thousand. So if you use 2,000 gallons, you're going to get a bill for 9, 10, 12, just a little over $12.
Okay, so you're raising it then from $3 to $7, is that what I'm hearing?
$3.25 is the proposal is $3.97 or $5.49. So that's built into your rate.
I'm just reading, I'm sorry. I'm just reading this paper that I got, and it says this is the billing charge, $7.13.
That's on the rural customer.
That's who I am.
Yeah. And you're on and that's if they did the full 68% increase. We were talking about the 22%.
That's right. You're currently paying $4.23.
It's just, okay, so it's going to be separated out in the future then, so we'll be able to see a separate.
Yeah, and the letter you got, correct me if I'm wrong, that letter speaks to the 69% increase. We're proposing 22%, not 69. And so that number's different than what's on the sheet. It's less.
Okay, so we folks then don't really know
No,
what
we
you're
do,
going to be
we
doing?
Do. We're going to go through that.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry. Thank you.
That's okay.
The easiest way to know what your increase would be is to take your sewer charge times 22%. And we're doing a flat rate across the board increase for residential there. So your increase would be 22% of your current bill.
$1.42 on it sent to you, Joe.
Well, we had two scenarios that were proposed to council. We advertised the higher of the two. We can always take the lower of the two, but you need to advertise the higher of the two to give the customers what the potential is. So.
Yes, sir.
I'm Scotty Ricketts, lifelong resident of Lawrenceburg. Just got a question on page 15 of here where it talks about the 16,315,000. And then on page 17 where it goes up to 22% and 69%. Can someone explain that to me?
The difference between the two rates?
Well, first, I guess, what's the 16 million for? And what's that, where's that money?
So in a prior meeting, we presented a number of projects that we were considering doing.
Okay.
And council and I have talked about those projects. The 69% would fund those projects, 22% will not. We're asking tonight for a 22% increase instead of the 69.
Mm-hmm.
And that if we have projects that we need to do, we would talk with council about either bonding those or getting some funding through MDF or something along those lines.
And forgive me, I wasn't here at those meetings. And can you tell me what the major, $16 million is a lot of money. Can you tell me a little bit about those projects?
Yeah, we can. I can have Cindy, would you care to run through those quickly, Cindy?
Cindy Fort with American Structure Point. The three major projects, capital projects, are to start to open up the area of the upper Wilson Creek watershed. So by going up Wilson Creek Road with a gravity sewer to provide sewer service to people in that area, as well as the folks on Outer Drive and Briarwood and Shangri-La that have failing septic systems. It starts that infrastructure to allow those people to get sewer service. In order to do that, we need to build an interceptor sewer from essentially 50 up to kind of where the existing sewer system stops on Scenic Drive as the first branch of the sewer. We need a pump station to go from 50 to the existing sewer on Florence Drive. That's about $1 million. And then Andy's come up with a plan to change the sewer system up in the Ludlow Hill area to get rid of 5 pump stations and replace that with 1 regional pump station to reduce the operating and maintenance costs. Those stations are, I think the newest one is about 20 years old, and the rest of them are getting closer to 40. So they're definitely past their useful life, and they've kind of been nursing them along. That project is between $2 and $3 million. And then the rest of the funds are not actually capital cost, but they're cost of money and other things that John has to explain. But those are the projects.
I heard a $1 million project and a $3 million project. So where's the other $12 million coming into play?
The interceptor project is estimated at 5.
The septic tank is $7 million.
Yeah, so that's the Briarwood Outer Drive area.
And Briarwood is in Aurora, is that correct?
Yeah.
It's actually in the county, it's not in New York City.
And we provide sewage for that area? Okay. And I'm just curious, how many homes would that help out or assist with their filling system?
That's close to 2 homes.
Okay, so if we're gonna pay $16 million for 2. I mean, and then.
No, you're conflating the issues. We've had meetings with the county, talked to the county about contributing funds to the project, in the area of around $3 million.
Mm-hmm.
the project up there, it would end up treating or sewering closer to 350 homes, 325 homes.
Okay.
It would also open up ground for the city to expand. We talked about this earlier before the meeting began, you know, what the cost of levies are, what the cost of raising land is out of the floodplain. It's definitely cheaper than those two options. And also to help serve existing customers that are in Lawrenceburg system that reside up on top of the hill. And so there's a number of different projects. The reason we're advocating for a 22% increase is just to account for, again, the cost of doing business with South Dearborn Regional Sewer District, which is going to go up at the first of the year, and also take into account some wages and so forth with the employees, and approach those projects as needed. So the rates we're asking for tonight, they exclude the $16 million. We're asking for a rate increase to help us address the pending, already approved rate increase with South Dearborn Regional Sewer District, irrespective of the projects.
Okay. It just, what it looks like to me here is the 22%. So my properties that I have in Lawrenceburg and then where I live up on Little Hill, I'm funding a project that, quite frankly, is not going to benefit me at all. I'm not getting any of that benefit out of it.
22% does not fund a project. 69%.
Projects would not be done, Scotty, with
Out of this project here?
22%.
That's correct.
So if they went up to 69%, then would it be done?
69 would. We're not asking for 69.
Gotti, what's your address?
17880 Kellybird Drive, Lawrenceburg, Indiana.
That's not in city limits, is it, Kellybird?
No, but then I have a property at 569 West High Street, 420 Elm Street, 526 St. Clair Street. So I got a vested interest in this. And
Oh, yeah, that's right. You and the one on Short Street, to your point. Is there any plans for fixing that up?
There is, yes. We've got some work in that, but I think it's a different topic for this.
Well, just like what you're bringing up now, we talked about this last meeting. We can't reiterate every meeting, repeat every meeting at the next meeting.
No, but I still want to understand what the funds are going for. Because my other things that I got some good friends that live on Scenic, and from my knowledge, I think the sewer system already runs the Scenic to 48. So I don't know why we would go down the hill when we could just tie into something at 48 as well too. And but my understanding is then there's going to be a new development up on Scenic. Is that correct? Well, would it make more sense for the developer to pay for that upgrade than from the city to pay for something, so the developer's not benefiting from the city paying for it?
The developer would be putting the sewers on.
Sure. But the runoff, if it's too small, then, in my opinion, if the developer's going to profit off of it, then he should be the one, or she should be the one, making that update to the sewer line to 48 instead of, spending $8 million. My personal opinion. That's all. Thank you.
All right. Any other public comments? If not, then we'll close the public comment section of the public hearing. Close the public hearing. Discussion, proposed amendments from
Your Honor,
up here.
I would like to propose an amendment to the sewer ordinance, sewer rate ordinance 21-2018. I'd like to amend the proposed ordinance 21-2018 to increase the rates by 22% as set forth in Scenario 1 option outlined by the Crow report, rather than the 69% increase identified in Scenario 2 of the Crow report that is currently reflected in the proposed ordinance 21-2018.
Okay. Any other discussion up here? Olin, could you let them know what the approximate increase from the sewer district to us is being proposed by their rate increase?
I think we are, Andy, what's the number on the approximate increase?
So I should know that too.
Too many numbers.
The total cost of the sewer district next year is going to be $1.8 million. DP's costs were approximately
Ours, I believe, is one up.
From the district?
Yeah, ours, our domestic flow.
Okay. Yeah.
Like overall,
was passed out reflects the 22%.
From them to what we're paying to the sewer district, okay. Okay. Any other questions up here? I'll entertain a motion.
Kelly.
I move that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, Dave McGimsey with Bank of Greenbaum Doll. Got a couple of things. First off, I just wanted to put into the public record the notices that went out. We have proofs of publication that were published in the Journal Press and in the Dearborn County Register. I also have an affidavit of notice that went to all the water and sewer customers outside the city's corporate limits received notice. I think we've heard from some of those customers. So if I may, I'll give these to Treasurer. I'd also ask on that we entertain the motion to amend the ordinance first, and then once that passes, then you vote on the ordinance as a whole.
Okay.
And if I may, I'd like to go back and revisit the electric ordinance to do the same things. Vote on the motion that Councilmember Daniels presented, and then vote on that ordinance again, because I think we tried to do both at the same time, and I think technically we ought to
Want the amendment done
do
by itself?
Do the amendment, and then if the amendment passes, then vote on the ordinance.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, we'll address the sewer rate ordinance with the proposed amendment. I get a motion to approve that with the proposed amendment.
We would approve the amendment, just the amendment.
Just the amendment? You just want the amendment? Okay, I'll get a motion to approve the amendment to the sewer rate ordinance.
Moved.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Roll call, please.
Councilperson Tony Abbott.
Nay.
Councilperson Aaron Cook.
Yeah.
Councilperson Mel Davis.
Yes.
Councilperson Randy Abner.
Yes.
And Councilperson Paul Seymour Jr.
Yes.
Okay, amendment passes 4-1. Now you go ahead and get the sewer rate ordinance approved. I need amendment to approve the sewer rate ordinance number 21-2018.
Your Honor, before we vote, I mean, I do have to say something, and I have to answer Aaron's question. With all these ordinances and the rate studies, as the city attorney, what I thought was important is to take a look at what's in the rate studies and what are we asking our citizens to do. And that is my job as city attorney.
Well, we've had them for prior meetings. You didn't suggest anything before.
Aaron, you can talk when I'm done. And so we did get them at the last meeting, having never seen them before, and they're very complicated documents. And I've reviewed them the best I can with the assistance of accounting firms, and the suggestion is that the data shows that we don't need these rate increases. We don't need a rate increase of 15% in the water, and with the sewer, not only do we not need that high of a rate increase, but there are capital projects in there that have to be discussed individually, either drawn out completely and discussed as individual projects, or taken out altogether. And they involve, as Mr. Ricketts pointed out, possible annexation, possible forced sewer hookups, and then this private development that, you know, it's been barely mentioned, but you would think a private developer, I agree, would fund a private development. You're right. You know, I can only give you advice. You guys have to vote. But before we vote on this sewer ordinance, I have to say that. And that's legal's position. And for whatever it's worth, I don't think we should pass the sewer ordinance.
I thought am I permitted to talk now?
Maybe.
I've always understood you're there for the legal procedures. I don't think you're there for the content. I mean, you're not there to give us advice how to vote. If it's a legal issue, yeah. I mean, we've got this. We know what it's about. If we have a question about something legal, about an IC code or procedure? Are we allowed to do this as far as statute? Yeah, we can ask you. Of course, you say you won't answer it at that meeting, but I mean, we don't need, I don't think it's the attorney's job to tell us how to vote or if it's the right way to vote. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but.
I've just got a practical question. What is the point in engaging in professional services, paying for those professional services for experts, subject matter experts, if I guess I should just have Dale do this for me from now on?
No, listen, I'll just say my opinion of that. I agree with you. I mean, that's what public professional services are, right? I agree with that. I think, and I can't speak for Dale, okay? My heartache lies with getting this the first week of December. It really does. And not being able to, look, I mean, listen, ultimately, we're in charge of the city's, what we're doing here for the rate payers and such. This was not done as a group, correct?
This was done in the quickest way possible, especially on the sewer, taking into account everything that was happening with South Dearborn Regional Sewer District, and us being able to get signals from what was happening there in order to craft the rates on this side.
Okay. John, how long had you been working on this rate study?
I would say off and on since probably the district passed theirs back earlier this year. But as Olin said, there's other litigation going on, those type of things. You're trying to get signals from there as to what to do. So it's been off and on, trying to wait for some other things to play out. But basically trying to get a firm feel for it, starting at the beginning of this, February this year, maybe March, and then as other legal proceedings go on, trying to craft those things to make sure where we need to be. So.
Okay. Thanks. I didn't know exactly how long you've been working on it. But what I'm saying is that's where my heartache stands with getting it in the first week of December. And then, and I'm not even a vote in this, but ultimately it's, you guys have to make that decision on very little information. I mean, I guess you could have went out and seek those answers on your own, which you should do that as well. So, I mean, I just think things should have been done. If we would have been brought into it throughout the conversation, I think it may have been a little easier sell, is what I'm saying.
One more comment?
Yes, sir.
Yes. The other thing I'd say add to it too, I mean, you're talking about 15% and 22% increases. You tell me, I don't know about you, and not talking about senior citizens or talking about other folks, I don't know who gets a 15% increase in their pay or a 22% in their pay year after year. So you're talking about citizens that live in Lawrenceburg and what they're doing. And so now we're talking about a 15% increase in their water and a 22% increase in their water, and someone's making $20 an hour and they're trying to raise a family of 2 or 3. And so that extra money is going out. That's a significant increase in someone's wages that quick overnight.
God, have you looked at the rates? Excuse me, Mayor, have you looked at the rates?
Yeah, no, I don't know what the rates are, but.
You're just taking their percentage.
Sure.
Look at the rates and see who is affected and who isn't affected.
No, it's all relative. It's still 15%, 22%, whatever you take over, okay? Whether it's $100 or $1, it's still 15% or 20%.
Your Honor, I'd like to make a motion.
Let me answer to his concern. Scotty, I don't think it actually correlates that way, but I'll be honest with you. Our rates are very, very low. Mm-hmm. I mean, for all 3 utilities, we know that. We've enjoyed that.
Right.
And quite honestly, I remember back when Mel was utility director, he tried to get rates passed through for quite some time.
17 times.
And he was told by whomever at the time that no. When Olin came, he got the rates increased to where they're, sewer is, I think we enjoyed $61,000 in profit last year. Okay. So, I mean, we have been very fortunate. At some point, the subsidy has to go away, right? We all understand that. And these utilities have to be able to pay for themselves and everything else. And I'm not contradicting what I said about the water. I still don't agree with the water. But the thing is, you know, we are very fortunate. I mean, if you do look at the rates throughout the whole state of Indiana, we are always in the bottom quadrant of what our rates are compared to. So we're very fortunate there. So I mean, I understand what you're saying, and it's not that I disagree. It's just it always doesn't correlate.
No, it does. It has a sour taste when you see the city spend $22 million on projects. And
Well,
then you ask for an increase
we can
on the
address
left-hand
that too.
line.
I could be a whole nother meeting, because I can tell you why we do those things. You know, those things are done to try and look out for the future, and we can go through a whole scenario of that on economic impact and things like that, studies that have been done on that, because I think there's a lot of misconception out in the public about that as well, myself. That's my opinion as well. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
The only thing I'd say is, because of the issues going on with South Dearborn Regional Sewer District, it was very difficult. The worst mistake that we could have made was try to get out ahead of that and pass a rate, and then have something happen at South Dearborn that in effect made the rate either egregious or not enough to collect the way that we should. I'll also point out that, you know, one of our largest customers on our system, Proximo, is going to see a reduction in rate with the action taken here tonight on the sewer rate. So we tried to do some things to be fair and equitable with all of the customers, including actually reducing some charges, not just Proximo's, but there's some other reductions in rates that are beneficial to some of the customers.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Mike Lawrence here. How's everybody doing? I'm going to address everybody in one way or another. Some won't like what I say, some will, on what we've talked about, because I've heard a lot of different stuff and my head's been spinning back here. One thing we talked about was about an increase, not wanting to increase. You know, sometimes you got to make a business decision. I don't want my stuff increased. I live here, you know, I'm getting ready to open another business here. I don't want an increase, but sometimes you got to make that tough decision. Mel, 17 times, you said. And I got to be honest, I was one of them for part of the time, and then Olin come to town. Olin explained things to me on my level, because I don't think anybody sitting up here, and when I sat up there, knew much about utilities. You got to tell the truth, you know. Olin made me understand who it affected and who it wasn't affecting, and really it was costing the residential, you know, and taking care of some businesses. So we had to make that tough decision, and it passed. And here today, you're facing another tough decision, and I think it's $286,000 I heard on the water. You know, I'm talking all the utilities, 220, and that's over everybody at servicing. Is that correct? But at the same time, we won't even talk about the apartments. Let's just talk about the park and the splash pad, or up here, the squirt, not the splash pad, but the park. You guys voted for a $4 million increase being by bond. You bonded it, so it cost the citizens of the city of Lawrenceburg $4 million additional. Okay? The water was going to touch everybody, not just the city of Lawrenceburg residents. But also, I know as a utility board, you got a different hat. You're supposed to just be talking about utilities, thinking about utilities, not thinking about the park. But if you do want to look at those projects, you got to look, there's 12 or 13 years that could have paid the increase on that park, on just bonding it. The park was already started. The money was in the bank. You should have paid for it, in my opinion, and not bonded it and spent it.
You know, this is city council right now, right?
That's
Is it
fine.
USB?
Because you said
I
utility
understand.
board. Okay.
No, but I'm talking about, because this goes back to utility board, and
Okay.
it's got to pass there, and the studies, and then it gets here. I understand. And I understand Tim's point. You know, he's going back to the apartments, the park, everything. It's really a different board, other than I know council has to make that final decision, but it's a business decision that needs to be met. Sometimes it's not favorable. But I do agree with Tim, a lot of spending don't have to take place, but it's the same people that does that. But it does kind of go back to a political role and election year or whatever. I'm up here talking for it, so I'm gonna stab myself in the foot maybe, but it's business. We gotta look out for the future. It's gotta happen, or at some point, people might be facing a 60% increase. Don't do that to the people. This increase is hard enough. It's a business sometimes, guys. Make that decision. You made the decision to bond the money and cost the citizens extra $4 million. We're only talking $220,000 here, and it's not just the city of Lawrenceburg residents, it's everybody. Thanks.
Thank you.
Your Honor, I'd like to make a motion.
All right.
I'd like to make a motion.
Motion is what? To go
Motion to-
forward with the
Motion to
The
pass
sewer rate in-
ordinance 2118 as amended.
we already approved the amendment, but just approve the ordinance 21-2018. Motion's on the floor. Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Nope.
Roll call, please.
Councilperson Tony Abbott,
Nay.
Councilperson Aaron Cook,
No.
Councilperson Mel Davis,
Yes.
Councilperson Randy Abner,
Yes.
Councilperson Paul Seymour Jr.
Yes.
It is 3-2 pass.
Okay. Once again, I'm going to exercise my ability to veto that vote, just so we can gather more information. And we can come back and talk about it.
Your Honor, if I may.
Yes, sir.
Starting January 1st, South Dearborn Regional Sewer District rates will increase. Lawrenceburg Sewer Department made a total of $67,000 last year. We will immediately be operating at a loss monthly, starting January 1st.
Well, we need to come back and meet next week. So we will do that. Okay. Christmas Day. Anyway, just kidding. But we can meet next week. Okay. We get you guys all settled in then? Got everything with the public hearing done? Okay. All right, next item on the agenda is Mr. Richardson operating fee ordinance.
The electric.
Oh, we got to go back and do the electric.
Oh, the amendment.
Do the amendment and then the.
Okay.
Wait for Mel.
Yeah, wait for Mel. Thanks, Owen, I forgot about it.
What are you doing with the amendment on the record? I remember that thing.
We'll see if he fell in.
He could have.
Okay, Paul Seymour's gonna lead us in a Christmas carol.
Yes.
I did that yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Or no.
Encore.
Saturday. Yesterday. I forget what day it was.
Saturday with the toy drive?
You're up here voting, you don't know what day it is. I don't know what day it is most of the time. Help him out with the car. For his finest.
You gonna pee too?
They're on the list.
Nice vest. We can get my dad one like that. Like the one with the hunting thing on like the shoulder.
Yeah. All right, now we can go back. I entertain a motion to approve the amendment for the electric rate ordinance. That was, I believe Mr. Davis read earlier.
Yes.
I'll get a motion to approve the amendment.
Move.
Second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. You need the amended then? And I'll entertain a motion then to also approve the rate ordinances number 19-2018 with the amendment.
So move.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Thank you, sir. All right. Next item, Mr. Richardson, operating fee ordinance.
This will be ordinance number 23-2018, ordinance of the Common Council of the City of Lawrenceburg to amend ordinance 3-2015, whereas the Common Council of the City of Lawrenceburg, Indiana, pursuant to statutory authority, is a duly elected legislative body for the City of Lawrenceburg, presents, considers, and votes to approve or deny ordinances in the course of its duties. And whereas the Common Council determines that ordinance 3-2015 enacted on May 18th, 2015 should be amended, now therefore be it ordained the Common Council of the City of Lawrenceburg that the operating fee be charged to the Municipal Development Fund equal to the amount that the city is voluntarily under the maximum levy, beginning with budget year 2019. Basically, it just moves our subsidization of the property taxes from the Riverboat Fund to the MDF Fund. Riverboat Fund was a little too taxed to handle it, so the MDF wouldn't have any problems doing that. So we're just asking for an amendment, or we're just asking for ordinance number 23-2018 to just switch funds from Riverboat, again, to the Municipal Development Fund, or MDF.
Okay. Any questions up here? Any questions? Okay. I'll entertain a motion to approve and, on the first reading, ordinance number 23-2018, as long as it's unanimous.
Moved.
Second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion will carry. Ordinance number 23-2018 is approved. Okay, Mr. Richardson, encumbrances.
Encumbrances for 2018 going into 2019, those have been provided in your packets for consideration tonight. Just need a motion to take those encumbrances on. If you want me to go over those, I can. We've got Anchor. Is that necessary that we?
I think you guys get copies?
Yeah.
And it's been posted?
This has not been posted, no.
Okay, all right.
I can read these aloud, though, if you'd like. We have redevelopment funding agreement for $840,000. Have another redevelopment fund agreement for a total of $92,350. Ratliff Landing dredging project, that will be $22,836.20. Fiber optic project, we have $313,714.05. Lighthouse Drive rehab project, that is $30,020. The asphalt crack and seal project, $50,000. The trail asphalt crack repair and seal coat project, $11,730. And then finally, the Industrial Drive / Charles A. Lytle Drive project, that is $80,022.12.
Okay. I need a motion, I entertain a motion to approve the encumbrances from 2018 into 2019.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion will carry. The ethics ordinance is going to be approved in the January meeting when we do the organizational part of the meeting. So you guys will have a copy of that to review for a couple weeks. I would entertain a motion just to table that until that meeting.
So move.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Weldon, conflict of interest and nepotism.
Thank you, Your Honor. Annually, the city is required to make reporting for in two different aspects. The aspect that everyone is most familiar with is the conflict of interest disclosure that falls under Indiana Code Title 35, which is the criminal conflict of interest statute. This is a form that is provided to allow any conflicts of interest to be reported, whereby either an individual elected official, either in a single instance or on an ongoing basis, has a pecuniary interest in a transaction, or a member of their household, a spouse or a dependent of that elected official. That form is available, and anyone who believes that they may have a conflict of interest should contact the legal department. Not only can we provide the form to be completed, but we can also provide advisory opinions and guide anyone who thinks they have a potential conflict of interest through that process. The reporting that we do have to do that is required for everyone, whether you have a conflict of interest or you think you do or not, is in Title 36. And you can find this in our local code in 33.11. So we've adopted in 33.11 what is the minimum requirement for the state of Indiana under Indiana Code 36.121.4. It requires that we adopt a conflict of interest policy, and that on an annual basis, each individual elected official reports to the mayor through a form, which I'll provide, and then the mayor is then required to upload and submit a form to DLGF for State Board of Accounts to show that we are in compliance with our local conflict of interest and nepotism policy. And just briefly with the title.
I'm not sure I understand.
I don't either, Siri. I'm sorry. She yells at me sometimes. So the big difference between Title 35 and Title 36, 35 is if you individually or, again, a household member would derive a pecuniary interest. Title 36 expands that farther, and it includes a relative, which is a spouse, parent, or step-parent, child or stepchild, a brother, sister, stepbrother, or stepsister, a niece or nephew, an aunt or an uncle, or a daughter-in-law or son-in-law. And then pecuniary interest means interest in or contract or purchase. If the contract or purchase result is intended to result in an ascertainable increase in the income or worth of the public servant or dependent on the public servant. So those forms should be completed. Again, I'll provide those to you offline. If you have questions about them, please let me know. Again, the legal department can guide you through completing those forms and also give advisory opinions as to individual instances. So that's for conflict of interest. Of course, nepotism. The one important thing to remember about nepotism, which is reflected in Indiana law and also our local ordinances, is that a board, whether it's Board of Public Works or Safety or council, is not by law considered to be in direct line supervision of any individual employee. So nepotism would apply to employees of the city who may be in direct line supervision of each other when they're related. Any questions on these please feel free to call me. And again, you'll all receive the form that's required, and then you'll bring that back to me. We'll submit those to the mayor, and then the mayor submits his form to DLGF.
Okay. All right, next on the agenda, any questions, guys? Next on the agenda is Mr. Stephen Nash from UC, about a research study.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. I'm actually Dario Rodriguez, stepping in from the University of Cincinnati Division of Trauma Research and with the School of Aerospace Medicine at Wright-Patterson. I'm here to share some information to you today about a study we're conducting that is sponsored by the Department of Defense. The study, and I placed a sheet of paper with some information in front of each of you, and there's some over at the other table for anybody else who would like the information. But it's designed actually to focus on trauma patients, in particular those who might be subjected to significant abdominal bleeding that is life-threatening. And the purpose for me being here, unlike most studies where you get an opportunity to say, yes, I want to sign up or I want to be aware of a study, this study is actually what we call exception from informed consent. So if you can imagine someone who's in a traumatic accident, vehicle or otherwise, that they would not be in a position to actually provide that consent. And so we do what's called community consultation, get out to the community. This is a requirement from the university institutional review boards as well as the FDA to make sure we let the community know what's going on. The study, in a nutshell, is a new technology that is called rescue foam. So in more simplistic terms, it essentially, I kind of refer to it as human fix-a-flat. So if you get abdominal bleeding, the trauma surgeon would do the observation and evaluation and determine that you have life-threatening abdominal bleeding through a variety of different tests, blood pressure, an ultrasound, inject a foam. Called rescue foam, and it expands, stop the bleeding, give the physician some time to get you back to the operating room where hopefully we would be able to save a life by compressing that bleeding with this foam. There is a way to opt out of this study in these, if you will, in these documents. There's a phone number, and I can also provide that email as well. In the event that you decided you did not want to be a part, and this is only if you do not want to be a part of the study, you would actually get one of these little bracelets, and if you showed up to the trauma bay at the University of Cincinnati and had this on, and it was deemed that this life-saving intervention might be appropriate for you, but you were wearing this, we would not obviously include you in that study. And that's kind of the study in a nutshell. So any particular questions for me from the... Yes, sir.
Yes, question. So if we transported someone to UC Trauma Center.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And they did not have a bracelet on.
Yes, sir.
And they needed this, you would supply it.
Yes, sir,
Okay.
automatically. So what you would get is the standard of care. And in that particular event, in the absence of this bracelet, yes.
Okay.
So our catchment area, as you might imagine, is Indiana, Kentucky, and the region of Ohio that University of Cincinnati services. So anyone not wearing this particular bracelet and fits the criteria that I mentioned earlier about all the tests, that absolutely. If the physician felt that it would be a potential benefit, that we would include you in that study.
Would
Yes.
this include gunshot wounds?
Yes, sir.
Has it been tried in the military yet?
Interesting question. So right now, this particular device has not. This will be the first in humans. So there have been about 6 to 8 years of studies already. And the way research progresses, it goes through bench and then animal studies, and now we're at the point we would actually put it in humans. There is a similar technology that you might be referring to that actually uses pellets.
Yes.
And actually, yes, sir. And so, but it is not this same exact device, but very similar in the sense that it expands to include bleeding.
Well, I will not be wearing a bracelet, so if I come over there,
yes, sir,
you can shoot me up with foam.
All right, sir.
Would you have this on your helicopters by chance?
Well, actually, it'll be done in the ER bay. So when someone gets in, they'll be evaluated in the emergency department. Yes, sir. Yeah. I think so. In leaning forward as we start to think about the potential, so it's very strict that the FDA requires where you're going to use it, how you're going to use it. So there's clearly the potential for that to be, but that would be a different study and a different indication by the FDA.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, Mr. Richardson, IMPA.
That's you.
IMEA, I'm sorry. I wrote it down wrong. Sorry. think Olin even told me.
It happens all the time. It's easy to get acronym. Mr. Mayor, Council, Dell, I thought I had the only Siri that just thought on her own.
Right, yeah.
But you've confirmed that I'm not the only one. I'm here to actually try to bring you some money. Boy, the eyes opened up now. As you know, we held the Whiskey City Rodeo in September. I haven't been back to talk to the council since then, so I wanted to thank the council, the city of Lawrenceburg, and LMU for letting IMEA be a part of that rodeo. There were two rodeos scheduled, as most of you probably are aware. LMU was a member of IMEA. When I left IMEA in 2017, LMU, or Lawrenceburg, and several other communities across Indiana dropped their membership with the organization. I returned May 21st of 2018, and I've only approached two of the communities that we lost during that time frame. And that was because I felt that they had just cause for doing that at the time. I now believe, and I think that my opinion is shared, that there's good reason for Lawrenceburg to rejoin IMEA. One is some of the financial impact that we can bring to the city of Lawrenceburg. With all of our training that we do, we have a conference scheduled here. We did have until November 30th of this year. December 1st was my drop dead date to drop that contract with the event center without risk of penalty. They agreed to extend that until I had a chance to come and speak with you about rejoining IMEA. We enjoyed and the opportunity to participate in the rodeo, merging the IMEA rodeo with the Whiskey City Rodeo. Lifted a burden on a lot of our public power communities because they were stretched in trying to determine if they were going to do this one or that one. And like many utilities across the state of Indiana, dollars are tight and they have to make decisions. So it was IMEA and LMU that decided we would merge those two together, lift that burden. I'd like to take for IMEA to have a little bit of credit. Most of the credit goes to Lawrenceburg and LMU for all the hard work that they did. My staff, our in-kind contributions to the rodeo were nearly $57,000, $13,000 in actual cash payments, $10,000 to Lawrenceburg, and $3,000 for one of the events that was held for the linemen that were here that participated in it. That for a non-for-profit is a huge amount for us. Our budget is nothing near what the city of Lawrenceburg is or IMPA's budget. They're a $1 billion company. We're trying to get to $1 million company. But I'd like to ask for your favorable consideration about rejoining the Indiana Municipal Electric Association. We do a lot for all the communities that we serve. The number one thing that everyone knows us for is all of the training that we do for the electric departments. Not just the electric departments, but any of the city workers are welcome to attend any of our meetings that we do. I've actually already got you down on the calendar hoping that I'll get that favorable consideration for January 8th for your guys to have their first safety meeting, but I think it's important that you do something and get back into an organization that Lawrenceburg actually helped found. Lawrenceburg was one of the founding communities that founded IMEA 77 years ago. The 5 communities that left, I told you that I've only approached 2 about rejoining, and that's the 2 that left for just cause. And that's Lawrenceburg, and I won't tell you who the other one is, but the 3 that I'm not approaching about rejoining is because they didn't leave for just cause. They left for personal reasons. So I won't approach them.
Your Honor, I would like to make a motion if I could. I would like to make a motion that the Lawrenceburg Municipal Utilities rejoin the IMEA.
You can make a recommendation to the USB.
Yes.
Okay. That's your motion?
Yeah.
Second?
I'll second this motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We'll go on with a favorable to the USB.
I would like to know more about it by the time it gets to the USB, though. I mean, why do we want to rejoin?
Why do we want to rejoin?
We can wait for the next board.
Can I
meeting.
explain?
Yeah.
From my experience, Tony, and Dwayne can pitch in, the IMEA provides a level of training that the employees might not receive if they were not in that. For example, there are, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Dwayne, I think there are 5 scenarios that have to be completed every year according to the OSHA law.
There's 6.
6?
Okay. Now. It was 5 in when they amended 1910-269 in 2015.
Okay.
It went to 6.
Okay.
That's fine, but
And they provide all the training for that free for our membership fee. They also provide educational opportunities for the employees, not just safety education, but educational opportunities for the employees.
why did we drop out?
Because the leadership was not the best in the world at that time. That person eventually got dismissed for theft. And actually, I was on the board, and I dropped off because of that. Dwayne is a good person. I've known Dwayne for 5 or 6 years now, maybe 7. He's a good man. He is the leader of the IMEA now. So it's under good leadership. And I think the monetary aspect of IMA reflects that. There's no one's skimming money away from the IMEA now. That's my reasons.
Okay.
Just kind of in the spirit of that, I asked Dwayne to basically try to get a favorable for Utility Service Board for our next meeting. Tony, to answer your questions just briefly, there was a diminished value for us to remain a part of IMEA under the circumstances that were going on. Those things have been cleared up. Those entities, those people that were causing the issues are no longer there. We pay for safety and training anyway. We have to send guys to, well, right now we send them down to Georgia for climbing school and different things, and some of that stuff can be facilitated here for less money than we're currently paying. But under the circumstances that were happening at the time, it just wasn't the right place for us to be.
Good. Thank you. All right, thanks, Dwayne.
Okay.
Okay, Cindy, got an update on?
We
covered it?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I have no other new business. Under old business, we've got Maxwell here to give us a quick park update on the park. Brian, Dale?
Good evening, Mayor, Council. I'm Ryan Strautman with Maxwell Construction. Here with me tonight's Dale Zellhorst. Some of you in the room know, others do not. Lissa Ruhlman has decided to pursue a different career path. So her last day with Maxwell was Friday. Dale's been on the project now for 3 weeks. He's on site daily. So Dale's the new guy. Messmore has been dealing with him for a while now. As far as schedule, we are on schedule currently. There's a lot that's been done, a lot been completed, a lot yet to go. We've been fortunate to, I guess, the first part of November, weather was looking pretty glim. But we've been able to recover. December's treated us pretty well. So schedule, we feel pretty good about now. Budget's going well. We're on budget as we stand here today. So, other than that, anyone have any questions?
Questions from up here?
About I noticed you had the partial stage covered. So are you getting ready? You covered it because you're trying to keep something ready for something to happen?
So what you see under the concrete blankets is limestone. They've laid the north portion of limestone on the finished piece of the actual stage steps.
Okay.
So that's what you see on the north.
About our metal and our ceiling.
That's
steel?
Yep. We have approved shop drawings. It's back at the fabricator now. Steel is in fabrication as we speak.
Okay.
It's been in fabrication for about 2.5 weeks now. So we have a delivery date of March 1st on the steel. We're trying to improve on that, but that's what we have right now. Wood, the ceiling shop drawings, they're also approved. So that's going to go into fabrication, I believe, next week.
I've noticed they're working good. They're fighting the weather. They're on the weekends.
A lot of activity going on.
There's a lot of activity.
Sorry for the inconvenience in the streets and doing the best we can to keep you as operational and functional as we can.
I think you're doing a good job.
Appreciate it. Anything else? Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Okay, I have no other old business. Y'all have something?
I got something real little.
Okay.
It's that time of year. It's Christmas. I know you've participated in an awful lot. The city does a lot for the community. We did something this weekend that I thought was very good, and I want to thank the police department, fire department, and Civil City. They were there. It was raining. The Dew family, I did not notice any no-shows. I really thought it would be a worse event this year because of the rain, but I think you gave away all your toys. So if anything, it was a real good event, and the rain never dampened anything.
That's good.
And and Jimmy came out on his porch with his saxophone and played Jingle Bells.
All right.
In the rain.
True community event,
So
right?
big old shout out to Jimmy, because everybody was just, it was good.
Great.
It was a good day, and the city does a lot of good things. And I'm sure there's more good things to come, so just have a good holiday.
Thanks, Connie, to you and your family. Well, good. Okay. I'll entertain comments from the audience. You've had 3 other opportunities. All right.
Kelly, I got one more
Yes.
thing I need to ask.
Yes.
Recently, there was an awful lot of lights replaced, and, good job, utility department. However, I wanna try to get some kind of policy going here, because I believe that's a never-ending job. Because we already got, I'm still getting calls, and I don't think any of us were never gonna be done. So I'm hoping we can put somebody on the night shift about once every month or 2 months, just to take an inventory and put that kind of effort in. however often we need to do it, because I get people telling me how lights are out every once or twice a week.
We've got a new billing system, and that billing system tracks the work that we do now, all the work that we do. So including street lights. So what I can do is I can give you an update on the number of lights that we've repaired or replaced each month at our utility service board meeting. So
That'll be good. Then if anybody has a particular light, can they bring it to the front desk?
Yeah, just bring it to the front desk and we'll issue a work order. I have guys do patrol every month.
Okay.
And so, I think when we start talking about the number of lights we fixed, if we want to increase that, we can, but we try to get to everything that we can, and certainly everything we're told about.
Well, I'm not saying they're doing a bad job, I'm saying they're doing a good job, but it just seems like when you replace one, there's one of them around the corner that goes out.
When I was worked on the trouble wagon, every day I'd go in and I'd get the stack of street light work orders. And I thought, I'm gonna rush through all these, and as soon as I get them done, I won't have to do street lights anymore. That was never the case.
Doesn't happen that
If
way.
there was 20 and I did them all, there was 20 the next day. If there was 10 and I did them all, there was 10 or 20 the next day. So, it is never ending.
That's all I got.
Okay.
Mayor, I got one thing
Well,
also.
yes.
For anybody that doesn't know, they go down 50 from the flyover bridge down to the city limits. We got these street lights down there thanks to Dolan. He got us taken care of, so.
Been complaining about that.
Been
haven't you?
complaining enough. He took care of it. He didn't want to hear me anymore.
Yeah, well, we didn't either. All right, anything else? Comments? All right, as you all know, the Dearborn Adult Center, we were able to obtain a grant for them to do a remodel job. Tonight, we've got to approve, I believe it's 3 different invoices, a total $136,758 in order for the state to pay for those bills. So what I'm looking for tonight is a motion to approve these, so they can get paid.
Moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion will carry. I'll entertain a motion to approve the claims.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion will carry. I've got 2 items. I've asked council for permission to move the January 7th meeting to Thursday, January 10th. So make note of that, and we will post that accordingly. And I apologize for that. And then just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and enjoy your families. So,
Kelly?
yes.
I would encourage everybody to go down. I went down today and Aaron gave me a tour of the adult center.
Yeah.
And for, the grant, and I don't know what it cost us, Aaron, but you sure did do it kind of rejuvenated that building.
Yeah.
You did a good job. I hope everything went good, but great job.
Yeah, everything looks brand new in there, and some of the stuff the building didn't have prior to that was like handicap doors where seniors with wheelchairs couldn't hardly get in the bathroom because the doors were so heavy. Now has the buttons you push to open, and the front awning used to be cover half the sidewalk, and that would rain and freeze up on the other side. It's something you don't want for seniors, but now the awning goes all the way across, and they're going to plant evergreen so it stay completely dry for them. I mean, it's
good,
completely renovated.
Yeah, I want to thank Aaron and Marie. I mean, this was kind of our first foray into a true grant, so there were a lot of layers. So even with claims, it was difficult because you had to have multiple people. And we know Marie was out for a while, and Aaron picked up the slack. And this is going to be a project we can all look at and be really proud of. It's a really good thing.
Okay. All right. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second? Nobody wants
Second.
to go?
I'll stay.
We can stay. It's been long enough for me. I'll entertain. All right, all in favor?
Merry Christmas, Bob.
Merry.
Tell Taylor I said Merry Christmas.
What?
Can I come see you and Marie tomorrow? Yeah, I had a meeting on Friday, so I just wanted to talk to you guys.
Yeah, she was asking me about that.
I'm sorry.
They didn't advertise that.
Oh, I have to, it's gonna be an open meeting. Okay. We gotta find a date first.
How you doing?
Come back. Yes. Bring the issue back.
Yes, sir.
And in the meantime, could we possibly maybe try to work something out? Or not?
I don't know, there is.
If there is, I don't know.
I mean, to answer my question.
No, you can just throw mine in the mail.
I understand, I know where you're coming from.
Merry
I do.
Christmas, buddy.
I do understand.
Oh, you too. Guys, thanks.
You have a good Christmas.
Music lady.
I never said it was gonna be.
Music lady. I want to hear baby.
Oh, Mel's getting old, he's forgetting.
Let's do that all of
Well, I switched. I'm drinking that Tanner Street Finest, man. Yeah, well, I don't even drink no more.
Okay.